Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Great job, Charles. Those were the audience was
Motion to the Board of Members to approve the minutes of the regular meeting September 5, 2023, and special meeting September 26, 2023. Receive copy for review. Second.
question. Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Motion to the Board of Members to approve the monthly report of September 20, receive copy. Second.
Questions? Discussion. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, so tonight, it seems to me that we're gonna have a relatively short meeting. Unfortunately, for our guests who wanted to see a full show, I think this will be short, in part because, we had a meeting last week, but things happen, quickly, and we don't have much time on any of the projects that we're working on. So, so that we can have a few more shots of all being together. We're gonna have at least one, maybe two meetings in October. So let's plan, the third week and the fourth week, third week for sure, fourth week, depending on what happens. But we will have at least one, special meeting. But tonight should go relatively quickly. So those are my opening comments. And now we will go to public comment. Is there anyone start in the room? Anyone in the room who would like to make a public comment? All right. Anyone on Zoom who would like to make a public comment? All right.
Wait,
Yeah.
okay. Melissa, go ahead.
Hi, good evening. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, hi.
Before you start, Melissa, let's say this. We just received tonight from the Planning Commission the proposed plan of conservation and development. The Burgesses haven't reviewed it yet. We're going to review it for the next month, and we will take additional comments from the public, or in your case, the Conservation Commission. So I would suggest that any comments that you gave to the Planning Commission, you also give to us. I'll distribute them to everyone, and we will all look at this for the next month. Remember, we have to have it implemented in accordance with the statutes before the end of the year. The plan of conservation and development is advisory, but it's a guide for the next 10 years. In other words, it doesn't have the effect of zoning regulations, mandates, but it's our plan. So read it, think about it, comment on it. We're going to talk about it among ourselves after everyone has a chance to read it. We'll take more comments from Melissa or anyone else. And then ultimately there'll be a public hearing that the Planning Commission will hold, and it will be adopted. So with that background, Melissa, go ahead and say what you'd like to say.
That's perfect. It's wonderful because we just got it this afternoon as well. I did email the recommendations that our commission sent to the Planning Commission. I sent those to everybody on the borough board earlier today. I think it was around lunchtime. So if you haven't gotten them, let me know, please. And or ask Nancy to let me know, or somebody, and I'll send them out again. But hopefully you have them, or you'll get them within a day or two if the email's slow. But thank you, that's perfect. Thanks.
Very welcome. Is there any further public comment in the room or on Zoom? Jim?
Yep.
Last call. We will now go to Kyle Kelly for our ambulance report. It doesn't have to be brief tonight, Kyle. We got some extra time, so you can feel free to say whatever you need to say.
All right, fantastic. Good evening, everyone. I'll make it a little bit longer. First off, I'll just highlight a few things that was out in our monthly report that I sent out yesterday. We responded to nearly 500 calls for service last month, in the month of September, and almost 40 of those being mutual aid calls to other towns, from Middlebury to Waterbury to Prospect, and the last couple of months mark our 2-year change, if you will. I think I mentioned that last meeting, and I'll say it again. Without the support of everybody there in that room, as well as our board of directors and our amazing providers, we would not be doing what we're doing today. Something else that wasn't on the report, we also covered in 2 of the towns that we're helping staffing with, including, or 3 of the towns that we're helping staffing with, including Waterbury. We covered over 300 hours worth of coverage for those towns. So we're doing really good things. We're building, we're getting better. We have some fantastic people that work for us. Some are going to nursing school, one's in medical school. We have several that are in paramedic school that are graduating soon. So we really have a great team here at Naugatuck Ambulance. We welcomed our second brand new ambulance to the fleet, which was a long time coming. We had to put one of the other ones out to pasture. So I'm sure you've seen that on the road. And something else just to note, we will be recognizing 2 of our EMTs at this upcoming year's EMS Pro conference for 20 years of service. One of those being 20 years of service with the borough of Naugatuck, Karen Sealing, who's been there for just over 20 years now. She made that 20-year mark in January. So they'll be getting presented years of service awards at this year's EMS Pro Expo at the end of the month.
Kyle, tell them about your award. Don't be shy.
I also was nominated, and I'll be receiving the Leadership in EMS Recognition Award this year at the EMS Pro Conference. So
That's well deserved, Kyle. We're proud of you. Why don't you tell everyone about our new life-saving heart devices?
You broke up at the end of there. I apologize.
The devices for life-saving with heart situations.
Yeah, so over these last 2 years, we've done a few things. We have obviously we've upgraded our ambulances, which is noticeable, as you can see. We've also added to our fleet 3 Lucas devices, which are basically automatic CPR devices. It takes away having a person do manual compressions, which gives us an extra body to be able to provide care. And it can do those compressions 10 times better and more efficient than a human can. We've added new pulse ox machines. We've added new AEDs. We've upgraded some of our vehicles. Every month, every couple of months, we're trying to do something to upgrade and get rid of the stuff that was failing and old and outdated. This month we put in service 2 new pulse oximetry machines to read your blood oxygen level, as well as CO, if you were to have an exposure and say a fire, which we know that we've had plenty of lately. So those machines themselves are about $600 or $700 a piece. We've been able to replace those and add those to the fleet. And as we continue, we're doing more and more. We've got new stretchers. We've got power loads that physically pick the stretcher up and put it in the ambulance. What's that doing? That's saving saving injuries on both the crew and the patient. It takes out human error, and we continue to look at ways to grow. We continue to look at ways to get better. We're soon putting in service a video laryngoscope A laryngoscope is used when you intubate someone. The old school way of doing it was you take the laryngoscope, you take the tube, and you look to see where it goes with your bare eyes. Now we have a tool that there's a camera at the end of this laryngoscope so that you can get a clear picture of what you're looking at and what you're seeing. It gives that paramedic a better chance and a better opportunity to get a good placement of their tube for someone that is not breathing on their own. So those are a few examples of what we've done over the last couple of months and what we've done over these last 2 years.
Okay, thank you, Kyle. I'm gonna revert back to Mayor's opening comments because we've changed our
This week.
festival day to October 28th, downtown, fall festival, 3 to 9, music, food vendors, but we're also gonna have a trunk or treat in the municipal parking lot. So it's gonna be fall festival with some Halloween events for kids and should be a lot of fun. So, Andreas, I see you writing this down. So we need a story in the paper so everyone will know that this is gonna happen, okay? I didn't hear a resounding yes.
Oh, yeah, he's a guy.
Okay, so let's go now to townwide sidewalk improvements. Jim Stewart is gonna bring us up to date.
So as we discussed, last meeting, put out the information to bid on this to the town contractors. I'm still soliciting their responses. Obviously, they're very busy this time of year trying to finish up projects. And, so at this point, I'm not expecting getting it done, this fall. Good, I wouldn't recommend starting November, December. We're gonna really push to have some stuff this spring. In addition, we've been working with the engineering department. They created a couple maps so you can see some progress. This is a map that's showing the sidewalk conditions through town. Orange and red being those that we're recommending probably need to be replaced. Poor and very bad. Turns out we have about 60 miles of sidewalks in town and about 15 miles fall into that category. Poor and bad. We still got some work to do. We noticed some areas that weren't covered, and some areas that we know that the conditions are better or worse than the shown map. We have some work to do to finalize it. And we have another map. We discussed putting school walking routes as a way to help prioritize.
Hang on. The other one.
Oh, so there it is.
That one.
So, school walking routes are, and it's not easy to see, especially now.
Well, I got to do both. All right.
So the school walking routes are in black. And I know it's tough to see, but it's easier to see the ones that don't have sidewalks. Okay, there you go. So you can see the black lines, red and green are roads with sidewalks. And we'll probably figure out some other way to show this. But the black and the colors with the black center line are walking routes. And what we quickly realized is most of the sidewalks are in wrong walking routes. Especially most of them need work.
So the red are the ones that are there but need work?
No, the red are just sidewalks, separate map.
Okay.
But if they have a black line through the center, they're in walking routes. And what really shows us is 90% of the sidewalks that need to be done are in walking routes. So, we can focus on main roads and roads that we're paving, but focusing on walking routes is gonna be just a huge, it's not gonna help us say, okay, what should we do first?
So Jim, I'm gonna try and put this in perspective so we can move forward with passion. So we have 200,000 in the budget right now. We're gonna have a pilot program in this fiscal year before June 30th and see how it works out. Now that we have more time, maybe we can have 2 projects, 2 smaller ones, if that makes it easier for the bidders, but we can talk about that. In any event, in this fiscal year, we're gonna have a pilot project. Now, there's a lot of moving parts here, a lot of nuances, a lot of things that are different. What we're gonna need, is that when you get to the finance board season, we're gonna establish a number after we see how the pilot program works out to go forward for the following year. What we're gonna need is a logical plan as to how to get the best bang for the buck and how to proceed in a way that makes sense, you know, giving weight to safety, walking routes, things like that. And it's not easy, and there's not enough money to go around. But I think that rather than coming here with some maps that are kind of hard to read, we're gonna need some recommendations.
Absolutely.
So we're gonna be counting on you, Fred, and your team to make some recommendations. I mean, I look at this,
You can't get, I
You can't get a good one.
understand.
All right. So, let's just, any Burgess want to ask a question or make a comment?
You have a question. I know there's some areas where you're gonna have to work around fire hydrants, things like that, but especially areas like Rubber Avenue, there's some telephone poles smack dab in the middle of a sidewalk.
Yeah,
Is that gonna present a problem? Do they have to be moved to meet regulations?
they're, with the Rubber Avenue project we're doing, side poles are getting relocated,
They are.
yes.
And will that happen in other area of town when this gets moving or,
Yeah, we need 3 feet minimum.
right?
So if we see those areas where we don't have 3 feet, then we have the utility move those poles.
Oh, good. Who pays for that? Us or them?
They-
Oh, cool. Have them move them all.
That's great. They take forever, but they do pay.
Yeah. As long as we don't do the sidewalk, then they come and rip it up to move the pole, like they do, like they do with the roads, you know? Thank you.
And Rocky, that's good to hear because as recent as the City Hill project, I did those, they did not have all they took, they didn't move them off because there's this number of sidewalks that aren't ADA compliant on Hill Street. 3 feet. Still some black holes in them. Holes, we can't move it, yeah.
They're still working.
50-year project.
Thank you.
Plus, yeah, I would say it's at minimum 10. Depends how much money it is.
Well, hopefully, once we
To make
get
it
numbers,
happen, to make
we get
it
numbers on the pilot project, then we can get a better idea really what the cost is.
I think for long-term thinking on this too, once the cannabis dispensary is up and running on New Haven Road, that 3% tax, one of the things we can use that money on would be sidewalks. Not saying all of it, but we might want to think as we go further that a portion of that money for our long game go towards, obviously, you're talking right now, 25% of our townwide sidewalks are for the condition. Yep. So we're gonna need it with the long-term plan. We also start thinking about some long-term funding aspects as well.
And we will be pursuing grants as well. All right, last call for questions. Okay. Thank
Thank
you.
you.
All right, next topic. Facade improvement program. So Attorney Fitzpatrick was making some changes. Have they been submitted, Pamela? All right, Ned, what is Ned Fitzpatrick? Why don't you, Ned, take us through your proposed changes?
All right, thank you. I will. Good evening, everyone. So what we've done is we've we outlined what the purpose is, and it obviously is to stimulate investment in the reinvestment in commercial buildings and encourage private investment in all the commercial properties. We've also identified the areas in which those properties are located. We've also discussed and outlined the financing description. We have indicated that the funding is going to come from the TIF funds. The owners of the property are responsible for paying for the cost of improvements. The approved projects, there'll be an application process. There'll be a committee that's designated in the guidelines to review the proposals. They'll be limited to $50,000 per property or per project. We're probably suggesting per property. And the idea and what we're seeing in a lot of the other communities that have adopted these guidelines is that what they do is they make a commitment to the owner after an application is received and approved by the committee. The owner then goes to the bank and gets financing for it or funds it with his own cash. And then when the project is completed, he gets reimbursed for that cost, say up to $50,000. Some towns are $35,000. It depends what you're looking at. So what we did was, after discussion and listening to the borough board in the last few meetings, we thought that it makes sense to, in order to ensure that a facade improvement, first of all, that is selected for, a facade that's selected for improvement by the committee is improved and also has to be maintained for a period of 5 years, so that we, in essence, we loan the building owner, property owner, we loan them, say, $50,000, and we at zero interest, and we forgive it $10,000 annually per year. So that's the thought process behind this, that section under the financing description. There are other ways that it's being done in other towns, but I think the concept here would be that we really want to make sure that if we're providing incentives, that the incentives are not just a one-shot deal, and that there is some duration to them. We've listed also the priorities, and you'll see what those areas are, and the types of facade improvements that are permitted under the program. The other part is that you might note under on page 2, the interior improvements are also, we included that, and that's because we're finding, after reviewing probably 7 or 8 different communities that have done this, that building and fire code violations are very costly. And a lot of the communities are expending funds for interior code improvements, not interior cosmetic improvements, but code improvements. Examples, a 3 or 4 story building may need a fire safety system. There may be access and egress manner that's necessary to comply with the fire safety code. There may be some building code issues that have to be addressed. So that's the reason we listed that under program priorities on page 2. I would say that the rest of the document has remained pretty much the same, just outlining who's eligible, who's not eligible. You have to be current with your taxes. There can't be any outstanding municipal debt or any municipal liens associated with the property. No residential properties are eligible for this program. Private nonprofit organizations are eligible for the program, and the program could extend also to tenants. But again, that would be determined by the committee who meets and makes this decision. And you'll see that That's also on page 3 under eligible applicants. As we continue forward, we outline what the eligible improvements are, and we also outline what is ineligible. And I think that's important so that for example, what is significant, there's some obvious costs that are not reimbursable, but others that might have been gray, but for the fact that we're specifically making them ineligible are, for example, professional fees, like for an architect. So if an architect is designing a facade improvement, we don't pay for any of those so-called soft costs. The burden is on the building owner to pay for the soft costs. And you'll see that on page 4. And you'll also see things like painting, flooring, parking lot improvements. None of that mortgage, any mortgage refinances or interest is not including any borrowing costs, building fees, any wages paid to employees and so forth. This is not a PPP program. It's for reimbursed for building facade improvements. And as you proceed to the end of the document, you'll see what the checklist is that we've provided, and it includes items, not just plans and rendering. I mean, they have to be color photographs of the facade, some drawings, design specifications, and a certificate of insurance also, which is required. The next part of it is the review process, and it outlines what that review process is. We have outlined that on page 6, and obviously the building official is important here, and the building official's office with regard to any electrical, structural improvements to the premises, and there has to be compliance with those all those provisions in order for the funding to be provided. So the building owner would receive a commitment from the borough. He can then either spend the money on his own or go to a bank. A bank would finance it based on the commitment from the borough. He would sign a promissory note, and we when the project's complete, and we agree to remit or forgive 20% of the principal balance on a zero interest basis for a period of 5 years, pro rata. So I hope that summarizes it for you. Again, there's moving parts here a little bit depending on what town you're in. Some towns have different provisions for what qualifies, what doesn't, the amount, the maximum amount, the repayment structures. This is felt to be something that has some perseverance in it, and to ensure that the facade improvements last some time.
All right, couple of things. Number one, we're all gonna read this, digest it, and we'll put it on the agenda soon. I don't know if it'll be this month or November, but it'll be, we want to be in a position to vote on it. I think it's going to need a little more work, but we're getting closer. Number one. Number two, we'll be getting our TIP money this month. The bonding is going through on Wall Street in the next couple of weeks. So the money will be in place in October for all of our projects. So we have a little time, at least a month, but let's just get this done. I want to think a little more about your suggestion. You kept saying we, but we didn't include me. So the interior improvements, we're not going to fund the interior, give someone $50,000 for interior improvements. The idea is to make the exterior of the buildings more attractive. Now, giving some money for fire code violations, fine, but we will use up all the money on fire code if we do that. So I'm gonna say I'm sort of against it. But, you know, let me think about it and maybe we can use it at some level. And I think we might need a little more clarity, because your words, were not necessarily consistent. You know, if you forgive 20% 5 years in a row, you're forgiving 100%. Now, if you mean 100% of half, okay, but, basically, if it's a $50,000 project, the owner puts up 25 of their own money, we loan them 25, and it gets forgiven 5,000 a year. So I want to make sure that's what it says, and it's close, but I just want to make sure we get it right. And then let me just throw out to the group here about the interior improvements. What are your thoughts?
So
I agree.
it's a facade.
Right. Okay,
No,
so,
what I just want to mention, if by roofing the outside, they have to do something like in a front window.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
you don't have more sheetrock up, you know. they come with. But you know better than, Mike would know better being a builder.
Yes, I do.
Sometimes, sometimes when you do something to the outside, it affects things. I think that could be an exception.
That would be part of the specs, right?
Yeah.
all right, so Ned, take out the fire code interior improvements. We'll talk, maybe we should meet before this is on the agenda, make sure the language is right. And then anyone who has a comment, I would say submit it to me, an email. And then we'll get it ready to bring it up for a vote.
Well, I have a ton of comments.
Okay, well, let's,
Start writing equal to yourself.
well, no, let's say, let's get them on the table sooner rather than later. Not this exact moment, but sooner rather than later.
Working on timeline.
Any further discussion on this item?
Yeah, that's fine. I'll review that with you next couple of weeks, Mayor.
Okay. So, item 10. I hereby reappoint Raymond Savoy, 1081 New Haven Road 2A, as a regular member of the Fire Commission, term to expire 5/1/2027. I also reappoint Thomas McCurry, 99 Tanglewood Lane, as a regular member of the Fire Commission, term to expire May 1, 2028.
I was going to say,
I also reappoint Maria Fidalgo as a member of the Naugatuck Housing Authority, term to expire 10/1/2027. Yeah. I further reappoint Helen Burgess, 71 Osborne Road, Apartment 4N, to the Naugatuck Housing Authority, term to expire 10/1/2028. I also appoint David Keller, 33 Bingham Street, Naugatuck, as a member of the Greater Waterbury Transit District, filling the unexpired term of April Chaplin, term to expire November 1, 2023. I'm going to stop here because I don't really know David. I did this on the recommendation of Burgess and Dusty. So okay, we're going to
right there.
All right.
And we have his resume in our notes.
So why don't you tell us about yourself?
Yeah, so I am a recent transplant from Ohio. I moved here about 6 weeks ago. I work in transportation administration, so I'm actually the chief administrator for a public transit agency in Athens, Ohio. I'm responsible for our 5311 program, our 5310, and then our 5339. And in layman's terms, that is our rural transit program. So we run a fixed route system of 9 buses. They're about 16 and 2 or about 12 and 2 passengers. And then we run a fleet of 11 modified minivans. So that is our ADA compliance. It does our paratransit. And then it does our, it does, I think you guys would call it door to door. I'm still kind of getting familiar on the Connecticut, how you guys organize your public transit here. And then 5339 is our capital replacement. So I'm responsible for writing and doing all of our grants for that, administering money, making sure the projects are happening. I've been looking for ways to get involved in Naugatuck here. I love it. I moved here. It's a wonderful community. It's very charming. I want to get involved. And with my experience,
Public transportation.
And so with my experience in transportation administration, I was looking for a way to get involved. And, I randomly saw a post on Facebook by Jan, who was looking for individuals who were interested in transportation work. And I said, yeah, I'm interested in transportation work. So I got together with Jan and we talked a little bit about the Greater Waterbury Transportation District. Since then, I've been doing my homework and kind of how they fit into the larger picture of transportation here in Connecticut in the, Central Naugatuck Valley, Metropolitan Planning Organization, kind of how they all feed together. And then that 20-year plan they put together for how they're going to orient and align all the transportation programs in this area. So it seems like a really good opportunity. I think I could bring a lot to the community here. I could bring a lot to the board. Do you have any questions? I'd be happy to.
So I want you to come in and see me so we can
Absolutely
point you in the right direction. So there, Connecticut, we have our local government.
Yep.
We have a regional government. Most transportation items are handled by our 19-town COG. And, there's a lot going on there, so I can introduce you to them. In fact, they actually sort of, I'm going to say, the primary catalyst behind Waterbury Transit. So I'll bring you up there and, get you involved with those people. Then there's the state of Connecticut, who have a lot to do with transportation. So there's a lot of different levels to it. So, if you're gung-ho, we'll pitch you in wherever we can.
Yeah, I'm excited to learn. I have a proven experience writing, grants for federal dollars from the FDA to support, public transit. I can be a good benefit for you. I appreciate it.
Never mind food.
Oh, well, yeah, I got into transit through social services, basically development out of food banks. So, but Jen and I are going to talk about that after this. After we get that.
So Dave, do you have any connection to Connecticut?
Yeah, absolutely. So I've actually been coming here visiting your guys' city for years now. My uncle actually lives here in town. He's a Knights of Columbus. He's been here 20-something years.
Go ahead, use his name. We won't shoot you. I don't know which one you want to use. Facebook name?
Yeah. Well, yeah. So his name is Dave Whitten. He actually worked for the utility companies up here for a number of years. I've been coming out here visiting him for eons, and then my life back in Ohio just kind of aligned. I got the opportunity to relocate. I've always wanted to come here. I wanted to close to my family, so I did.
All right, great. Well, welcome to Naugatuck.
Thank you.
All right, you're all set, but come see me and I'll take you up to COG and introduce you to the right people.
Do you want me to email the Burgess clerk and set it up? Or?
Yeah, Janice.
Okay.
Or you could just call the town hall.
Okay.
Janice, the mayor's here.
Mayor's office. And tell her you already talked to me and I want you to come in wherever works for you.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Item 15, have a motion to board members approve the reappointment of Mary Ann Riley, 170 Meadow Street, Naugatuck, as a regular member of the Human Resource Development Board, term to expire October 1, 2026.
Second.
All right, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Item 16 and 17 are tabled. Item 18, motion that the Board of Burgess approve the supplemental contract with Axon Enterprise, 180 Sky Harbor Circle, Phoenix, Arizona, for 2 additional body worn cameras as recommended by Deputy Police Chief Daniel Moore.
Second.
All right, so is, Deputy Chief Clark here?
No.
Is anyone here?
Not from PD.
All right, so,
Excuse me, Mayor?
who's that,
This
Allison?
No, this is Nancy. This motion is tabled as well. You already signed the supplemental contract. It
Okay,
wasn't necessary.
all right, so we're gonna table 18. All right, thank you, Nancy. All right, 19, plan of conservation and development. I touched upon this in public comment, but, I do want to stress that the timing of this is important. And, there's a lot of information there. And, there's a lot of words, there's a lot of maps. So you're thinking about the next 10 years. This is a 10-year plan. So when you read it, think about things that, you think should be in there in our plan for the next 10 years. If there's something in the plan that you don't like, you can also mention that. If you see a mistake or an error, mention that. But let's go through it. And we have to get it done in this calendar year. And there are certain, timing requirements, notices, public hearing, etc. So I'm going to say that we should finish our work in October and be done by the first week of November. Well, yeah, there's a meeting. Well, okay, so I think we can do this. If we're going to have 2 meetings this month, we can do it in the second meeting on the last week of the month.
Second meeting last week.
Let's go, David Kelly.
Yes.
So we're gonna give you a copy of the plan of conservation and development to look at the transportation section.
Perfect.
It's very simple.
Yeah.
And and again, we're not looking for details. We're looking for a general guide, like we want to expand. We want more service.
Sure.
Broad statements like that.
Absolutely.
So why don't you give David a copy and look at the transportation?
You have to swear him in.
I don't think so.
I don't know. I don't think it's sworn in.
I don't run
It's sworn me in about 1,000 times.
It's not really our board. Yeah. We have it here, Burgess.
Yes.
It's in the cabinet.
I wouldn't agree with me.
Putting a motion to Board of Managers to authorize Control Allison Bruce to refund the following tax refunds approved by tax collector James Goggin as it read.
Thank you.
Questions? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? All right, public comment. Here is our second public comment. would note for the record that those people who think we don't have transparency would never come comment, but for the last 8 years, we haven't been getting comments, although we invite them 2 times at every meeting. So, we're on Zoom, we're here live, we all have phones, we all have emails, we're willing to talk, always looking for suggestions. I like the fact that someone I never met came in here tonight, has a better grip on transportation than most of our citizens, so we need more of that. Good thing. But anyway, having said that, public comment, is there anyone in the room, on Zoom, anywhere in North America who wants to make a public comment? All right, second call. Last call. Right, Mayor and Burgess comment. So. Going on Zoom, right?
No.
Yeah, Zoom's here.
John came
Zoom is here.
Somebody's on the.
All right, I'm gonna start with Dorothy Methuen.
What can I say? We are having the bullying prevention poster contest at the schools, K-12. Not all schools were willing to participate, but I think we have a good number of people representing. And we're going to be looking at the posters sometime on the 9th, I think, the committee, and then we'll be presenting the winners at the borough board.
Okay. All right.
This should be good.
So do you need anything from us?
At this time, I think Chris is going to work on the certificates, and then I bought a bunch of decals for the parents to put on their cars, and some pins for the kids and things like that. So it should be, hopefully. And then when we learn from this, we'll figure out how to structure it for next year.
All right. Megan. Rocky.
Just 2 quick things. On Sunday, the 15th of this month, from 1 to 4, at the Crystal Room, the Historical Society is having its annual meeting. You're all invited, as long as you pay money.
$35.
Yes, that's true.
Also, this EMS Pro Conference. EMS Director Kelly kind of downplayed it. This is a big deal in the EMS world, statewide. Not just here, not just the area, but statewide. And for him to receive this leadership award, it says an awful lot about him. And it's all true. So I just want to point that out. He downplayed it a little bit, but this is a big deal in the EMS world.
We're fortunate.
Yes.
I worked side by side with Chief Kelly for quite a few years when I worked on the ambulance, and he's just an asset wherever he goes. I learned so much from him in the years that we worked together. So very well.
That's it for me.
Rocky, were we formally invited to that?
I don't know.
I got it.
Did you?
She got it.
Oh, today?
Oh, okay.
I might not have seen it today, but I don't recall.
It's on the 26th, Thursday, the 26th, and it's at Foxwoods at 6 p.m. Foxwoods? Foxwoods.
It's
So it's a
a
really-
fancy thing.
Oh, yeah, it's a fancy thing. It's a big deal. It's, 6 p.m. is kind of late, but I'm trying to get back, but that's where it is.
All right. Now,
The only thing I gotta say is we have an open position still. I'm not gonna tell you about this, but I talked to Adam Bronco, they didn't get stuff to go on and have him for the next back.
He's got someone.
They did finally get somebody.
Pretty sure, yeah, him and I.
I'm on, Megan's on.
Yeah.
I thought Adam was on.
Adam is the chairman.
Yes.
Megan
and I are on, there's still one more spot.
I think he found some.
Did he find some?
Yes.
Did he? Yeah, finally,
Yep, we're totally on it.
so, never mind. Back.
So
Like,
how
you got a point where it is, I didn't know.
how many, total members are,
There's 3 per count.
so we just.
So I thought we were full.
No, Adam's the chairman. He doesn't represent Knox. He's the chairman of,
Okay, so the chairman plus 3,
correct.
okay.
Okay, now I understand what's going on.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Well, that won't.
I know, David.
So, go put up a sign.
Let me say this, the new board members, Mayor Chatfield contacted. And I guess Chesapeake dropped out of the health district, and Prospect is now considering joining our health district. So I put him in touch with Jess, who I thought would be the right person. And,
Yes.
I haven't heard anything, but I think that, that would be great. It would reduce our costs somewhat.
Definitely.
So I would just say we encourage Prospect to join us.
I'm gonna follow up with that.
Yeah, sure.
Actually, I know him.
Yeah, no, I would say follow up on it. And I think it would be good for Margaret if they join.
Okay.
I'm sure he'll get quite an overview. Yes.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yes. Quite detailed.
For those who don't know, if you want an answer to a question, call Jess and make sure you have a lot of time. The answer will be so thorough, you will become expert on the subject you need to talk about. She's just a wealth of information. And she's also been a national podium. She was invited to speak about public health. And it's unusual for someone not an MD to be invited to be, speaking. So,
All right, Mike. Grant.
hey, first off, I want to mention that 2 weeks ago, the VFW Post 1946 had the Citizenship Awards, and I'll start off with Tina Royal, who received the Volunteer Award, Volunteer of the Year Award. We also had the police officer, Joe Coletti, as he says, like spaghetti, that police officer award, Captain Dave Prue got the firefighters award. Samantha, who the chief, EMS chief, Kyle mentioned before, Palermo, got the EMT award, and Michael Martins got the fire police award. Proud of all these people, especially the volunteers who volunteer like Tina does. And I'm so proud that she's a member of CERT, and actually a most active member of CERT. Those of you that might have been to the senior center or any event they have there, she does that. She does it pretty much single-handedly, and there's just so much stuff she does. And you can't get into detail because we'll be here all night. Not that I talk a lot. We'll be here all night. Okay, I'll tell you, the fire department in the past few weeks have had some very, very tough fires. Like we had one on Town Street that, if you know the location of the building, it's right behind the Avenue Restaurant on a hill, that you could not put an aerial ladder up against that building because of the elevation, the wires that were there. It was a tough fire to fight. And unfortunately, it was that fire. And we all heard about the Water Street fire. Ironically, the same firefighter shift for both of those. So they caught a bad one that was, on Pond Street on a Thursday night. Then on Monday night, they caught the second one on Water Street. So they had a few good nights of work. And trust me, when
these guys spend 8, 9, 10 hours in the smoke and in the flames. That gets you. I mean, me, the little part I do when I'm there, you're exhausted at the end of the day. These guys did a great job. And Chief Hanks is on there, and he brought up a good point, historical fact, if you will, that this is the first time in any of our recollection that we utilized 3 aerial ladder trucks to put out a fire department. So we have Middlebury, Waterbury, and of course, Naugatuck, aerial ladder truck there. And it's we probably could use 4, but because of the location on the street, how close the front of the facade was to the street, and possibility, which it did happen, collapse, you know, had to move apparatus away. And so, for that, we probably could have used 4, but it's the first time we used 3. And Chief Hanks, our resident historian, brought that up. I also want to mention that our CERT, speaking of CERT, our CERT team spent last Saturday in training. They were at the New Haven Fire Academy. They took classes in CPR, AED applications, stop the bleed, animal response team, informational summary that they had there, electrical safety overview, how to be safe around down wires, down poles, and so forth. They also had domestic violence, not domestic violence, but domestic violence extremism, which is a very eye-opening seminar session to go to. I took the 3-day course in it, and it deals with the active shooter, and it has to do with the violence of a homegrown nature, and it describes what a homegrown extremist is. We've all seen them in the news. We all know the names, and I don't think they bear remembering or even bringing their names out. And they also had a demonstration on heavy rescue. So I thought of after working all day the week and before Saturday at Mission 22, then spending another full day session down at the Fire Academy. Just want to commend them. And once again, commend our firefighters, fire police, and the fire department, police department who does a bang up job at both fires.
Thank you, Frank. So,
First of all, we know we have, this is our last full meeting before the November 7th festivities, the election. Before I comment on that, I'd like to say it's been a pleasure, no matter what happens, regardless of what happens that Tuesday, to serve with all of you on this board for the last 2 years, some 4 years. The stewardship that we carry, the trust from the community, is seldom seen. Maybe folks don't get to see every meeting or know what we do, or all those what seem like small decisions have huge impacts on our community. But I must say that it's been a pleasure that we've worked together all about Naugatuck these last few years, and thank every one of you for sharing what your experiences bring to all of our decisions we made this year. With that said, our last municipal election barely had 20% of the electorate get out and vote. 8 out of 10 people that could have participated in our democratic process stayed home. I really like to see that number go up this year. It is important that you exercise the ultimate civic duty of participating in our representative democracy. So I hope that this November 7th, we get numbers in the 30 or 40% would be nice to see. But let's not have another 20% of registered voters voting. So get those absentees, make a plan, make sure you get out and vote. It's important so that the next group of people that come up here to make very important decisions about the town's future are the folks that you really want to have.
thank you. Deputy,
Charlie, nice speech. Echo everything you have to say. And you're right. The the people in Naugatuck don't realize what type of job we have. We make decisions based on information that's supplied to us. And, you know, when you read comments, stupid comments on Facebook, that just get you hot. They just don't realize the impact that we have here. And we make decisions based on information given to us, and we have deliberation. And this is not Republican and Democrat. We are on our party aspect of it. But you know what? We're here for Naugatuck. And that's the bottom line. Whatever decisions we make here, and quite honestly, if you look at our decisions that we've made over the last few years, they've been pretty unanimous. You know, very few are against anything. And it's an honor to work with everybody here. I've been working with a lot of people since I've been involved in this seat, 1997. I've gone through a lot of different mayors, a lot of different board people, and you know, I love it. So that's why I'm still here, and I try to do my best for the residents of Naugatuck. That being said, you're right. Get out and vote. It's ridiculous that you don't. And if you don't vote, don't say a damn word about anything. The way I look at it. Don, I'm extremely disappointed that there were schools that didn't want to participate in this bullying. I don't know why, but if they didn't want to participate, I don't get it, because there is an issue, and they're only in denial of them not wanting to do that.
It was the schools that we really wanted.
And it's a shame.
I have no idea.
Are you literally the same what the schools are?
We're City Hill and Hillside.
Oh, I mean, that's just really, that's where half your problems are.
We were told they didn't get the information. We made sure
That's
that
garbage.
PTO members
That's
knew
garbage.
about it.
Those are the schools that are
They needed
a
it more
big
than
priority. It's, and you hear, I hear the stories of City Hill.
So
I don't even have
I
kids
hear
there.
it too, everywhere.
So I'm disappointed that those schools didn't want to get involved. And it's a shame.
It's not something that could have been done from like an upper level, like a superintendent. kind
Well,
of
the
putting-
superintendent could have came and said, I need you to participate. That's the bottom line. He didn't do his job. And that's not a knock against Chris. I like Chris. But you know what? Something like this is extremely important.
Yeah, I agree.
And it's not only Naugatuck. You have issues throughout the whole state.
But this is a very eye-opening issue, and the bully prevention poster contest is one step in getting the message out. And so we were hoping by this year's project and program that, you know, we'll see how it was received, and then we'll figure out another way to restructure it and hopefully get greater participation next year.
I think it's a great idea.
Last thing, Jim, where we've been doing the work downtown, digging up the areas and then, you know, packing the areas and filling them with asphalt. We've got huge areas at Rubber Avenue and Cherry Street area. We got a big divot in the middle of that road. We really need to address some of those before it gets too bad. I think there's at least a 12-inch dip in the center of that road.
Yeah, we've talked to the water company about that, and they plan on doing some repairs before the winter comes. I'll talk to them again, make sure that's still happening.
Yeah. And then, last thing, we need to thank George Mudry for his service over the last couple of years. Grant you, his job is really taking a priority over his life, where he hasn't had the ability to come to the meetings, which was a shame, because in the beginning, he was very engaged in what we were doing. And, you know, of course, life changes when you get a specific job that you have to attend, and you can't be part of the meetings here anymore. And I know that he tried several times to get in on Zoom and try to participate, but thank George Mudry for his contribution over the last time.
Just, you know, George kept in contact with us, asking, what, you know, different issues that we brought up that he might not have been able to respond to because he had his concerns and whatever. But he's got constant contact, you know, with me, and I'm sure he will. And, you know, wish him well. I didn't really know him before. conversations we had, you know, between ourselves, I was very impressed with, you know, what he's doing with the health.
I asked one more time, I'm sorry. Yes, you can ask one more thing.
One.
That was it.
Jim.
Only one.
Jim,
Yes.
that's not it.
Sorry. Move on.
On a Church Street project, is there any way to inform the vendors on there which end of the street they're gonna be working on during the day? Is there any possibility they can get something like that?
We've got all their names and as soon as we start, are you talking about currently what they're doing? Or are you talking about the projects coming up?
So I'm talking
They were
about
given notice
currently. I
currently.
mean, are they working on this end of the street or this end of the street?
They
Did
were,
they at least let them know a day ahead of time or something?
I think they have.
Slow it down. They're supposed to be doing that already, Jim. Now, remember, that these workers are not working for the town under a town contract, so it's a little different. The workers who work under our contract will all be mandated to do things of that nature. The water company has told us that they will do these things, but the contractors, seem to get carried away and do not follow the protocols that we put in place. Is that correct, Jim?
That's correct.
So maybe you should be a little tougher on them and, send them home if they don't give you advance notice.
Well, as far as road closures, we, we set a policy and it kind of fell apart. So we reset it so that it was actually an application procedure to close a road. So now,
You're gonna have to get tough on it.
if they close the road, and it has gotten some action, I've gotten some more calls from police officers, so I'm hoping that, that the solid post been resolved. but,
Listen,
you know,
Augie's strong, you know what I mean?
Understood.
And
I
if they
don't have
can
a problem
say which end of
setting,
the
I don't have a
street
problem
they're
setting people off.
then perhaps a vendor like a tanning salon can know, don't schedule tannings for this day because they can't do it because they're right in front of the place. As opposed they're on the other end of the
I
street
mean, they could,
and they can
Well, I
get
mean, they
people.
walk there too.
The road should be open.
Yeah,
Telling them they can't work,
they are,
can't work.
I've parked and walked to places along Church Street. Has it affected businesses? 100%. But,
She's down 50%.
oh, so is the goal, so is most of them.
But the problem is, there's no remedy if they do what they want to do. There's no remedy to it.
But I parked in that public lot.
Let's enforce the policy. Just so you know.
I'm done.
Right, so, I'm gonna save my comments, I'm gonna set up 2 more meetings. So we'll have at least 2 more times to talk. And maybe I'll even, I don't usually do it, but I can put Burgess comments on special meetings if I want to. We don't have to feel like, tonight is the last. So we are gonna have a meeting, next week, the week after, and the week after. But now we're gonna do executive session.
Item 23, motion to recess to executive session at 8:10. For discussion of the following real estate parcels A, B, C, Y, and Z, North Industrial Park Section, Greenfield, Rotary Field, acquisition of land on downtown parking, 30 Church Street, exit financing district, Church Street, Maple Street, Peter Paul Hershey property, collective bargaining, Chapter 89 Union, Chapter 90 Union, police dispatchers Union, pending litigation invited to get involved. Second.
All right, all those, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Yeah, you have an idea of what they.
Being regular meeting at 8:34. And, we're coming out of executive session. And we will go to item 24, matters emanating from executive session. And I will entertain a motion that we extend the negotiation period on the 30 Church Street as well as the adjoining piece condemnation until October 24th at 8 p.m.
Motion.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. Any questions or discussion?
24th, hold on. 24th meeting you said is at 5:30. So we're gonna be here at 8 p.m.
I think you should put a time limit on it.
We're just extending negotiations.
Okay, got it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Hold it.
Oh,
I'm gonna ask, that motion be rescinded. I now agree with Burgess Majeski that.
yeah, Burgess, yeah.
That the time is gone. So let's,
Instead of 8 o'clock, make it 6 o'clock.
You better mark that up. You gotta put on film, Jim. You gotta put on.
let's change the time to, 6 p.m. So we're making a motion to extend the negotiation period on the condemnation at 30 Church Street and the adjoining piece until October 24th at 6 p.m.
Motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Any questions or discussion? All those in favor? Opposed?
What? Loud here as you were on the TV.
Please, I
gotta be upset right on TV because you're on here.
We do, I promise, we do. We-
Clearly,
It's here.
yes.
And there we go.
So,
All right, so, Nancy. We have two meetings that will be coming up. First one is October 16th at 7 o'clock and October 24th at 5:30.
So the 24th at 5:30 and the 16th at 7 o'clock?
That's correct.
Thank you. Thank you.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
any, discussion?
Oh.
All those in favor?
All right.
Now give me your sign.